That was weird. Okay, testing 1, 2. All right. I think I'm all set. No awkward silence at the beginning. While I figure out what the heck I'm doing. Let's see if anyone shows up. Looks like somebody showed up. Cool. I'm just, hey. Well, hey, you are always here. Do you sleep? We'll see how long I have before my daughter wakes up and the house wakes up, and then I have to go. Where's my water? Brazil. Oh yeah, we talked about Brazil. My sister speaks Portuguese. She loves it. She loves going. She kept wanting me to go. I don't know if she still travels there anymore, though. I'm excited about. I'm just looking in the preview for the stream, and there's this spot that I have on my arm that's right there, and I've had this thing for I don't know years. I can't remember not having it. Although I looked in older videos and I didn't have it like 7 years ago, but it feels like I've had it forever. And I've mentioned it to doctors that I see, and they say, don't worry about it. And finally, this doctor said, I think it's what's the word for it? Eczema. I think it's an eczema. It's like this. It looks like a wound that starts to scab over and then doesn't, and then it's over and over again. This I think it's just eczema. I think, and so here's this steroidal cream. Don't put it anywhere else. Don't let anyone touch it. But put it on a couple times, and it'll go away. Like I don't think so. It's going away. It used to be like big and red and disgusting. So I'm very excited. The new video dropped last night. See my every Friday, every Friday, my mother and her boyfriend come over. My mother's 90. I should know this. 96. Her boyfriend's. Oh no, my mother's 86, and her boyfriend is 90, which is amazing to say. So they come over for dinner, and they came over around 5:30, and I was like, last little touches to press publish before we could have dinner, and so I posted that. It must have been right around 5:30, 5:35 last night, Pacific time. I always forget. Not everyone's here. See the Python input. Yeah. I should do a Python version of that. I mean, it's all pretty easy in a lot of cases just to swap over to from language to language. I'd like to do more of Rust or even I keep wanting to do something like this in Lua just because you can, and I think that would be fun. No, I have not looked more into Fabric. and I definitely want to. It's interesting what the author of Fabric has said about basically collecting prompts. He's always collecting prompts from all these, trying to be the collector of all the prompts, and maybe that's what Fabric is doing, is putting in the right prompt. I, so at the same time, I don't know if a lot of these frameworks seem to be written for ChatGPT, and even with a similar API in Ollama, it's different, and so uh, I don't know if these things they may be designed for ChatGPT, prompt patterns, yeah. I don't know if they work as well elsewhere. Dubai. I don't know if we've talked about Dubai on here. I used to I used to go to Dubai a lot. I think we did. Oh yeah, I must have talked about it because I feel like I talked about. I don't know if there are more than one person from Dubai, so maybe I mentioned it with somebody else from Dubai who was on the call on the stream. But yeah, I used to love staying at that Sheraton Four Points right by the old fort. Oh, the AC was amazing. Or even just sitting under those kind of burlap, what is it, bastakias? So lovely. Even on a hot day. I'd often be there on hot days. I remember flying in, I'd fly in on the direct flight from Amsterdam on KLM. And, it was 5, 6 hours. I don't know. Does the time zone even change? Maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, but it seems like a long way to go without going to a different time zone. And uh, and flying in and being at like 10,000 feet, and the temperature's already at 102 degrees Fahrenheit. What's the best prompt resource? I don't know. I was looking at that pretty recently because I was like, well, is there a existing prompt for like a good prompt to use for something I was doing? And trying to see, where did I stumble to? Um I don't think I've really found any good resource. I mean, Fabric seems to be interesting. I don't know, but I don't know if you can apply those prompts to other things. I haven't really looked into it. But um, there's a prompting guide on Meta's page about crafting effective prompts. There was another prompting guide. Prompt engineering guide. I don't know if they really go into. I mean, they talk about prompt engineering, but yeah, I guess they do. So this what I'm looking at something and you're not seeing it. Let's see if I can switch to, which button do I press? This one? I think so. Yeah. So this is at promptingguide.ai. I'm not saying this is the best. I don't know, but it definitely has a lot of the concepts that you need to think about when doing this stuff. What kinds of prompts, techniques for prompts are there? Um, what does function calling mean? And lots of other things. Then there was another one. I feel like there was a resource on the site that does the vector database uh, comparison, which was vector databases hub. Vector Hub. It's Vector Hub, but it's not vectorhub.org. Superlinked. I feel like I saw something on here about prompt stuff, but I can't remember where it was. Thinking about quitting my job. Oh, That's a hmm. Sounds like you're asking for advice, like actual life advice. Ugh. Um, but very, it's good income, but very toxic. Yeah, a toxic environment sucks. And 7 years, oh, 30 plus years experience in engineer, I think be more happy at doing Uber. No, I don't think so. But I, yeah, that, I don't know. I mean my general thoughts on finding jobs is, once you are in the interview, it reminds me actually before I go into what my actual advice is. I had a friend growing up. So I grew up on an island off the coast of Miami called Key Biscayne. Now, when my parents moved there, it was a normal neighborhood. It was the cheap place to buy a house in Miami because nobody wanted to live out on Key Biscayne because it was along a long bridge. It wasn't very, AC wasn't super popular. This was in 1970, and so it was the place that my parents could afford that was pretty close to University of Miami, where my dad was working as a taking care of the electronics for some of the research vessels, and but now of course it's become uber expensive, uber wealthy. But one of my friends, his father was a lawyer, and the law he was representing like the sugar companies, and like even if he lost, he would still be getting millions and millions uh, out of this deal. Um, but so they had a house built, and they went to interview the architect. Um, and it turned out the architect was interviewing them to see if they wanted to work with this family. And this architect had designed a village. They're not just architects for single buildings. They designed a village called, I think it's called Celebration in Florida. And it was in, I feel like that was the village that was shown in, it was some movie like where, oh god, I can't remember what that movie was called. But anyway, so the interview was both ways. So when you go into an interview for whatever job, you are interviewing your manager, because nothing sucks more than working for somebody who is an idiot. I mean, I've certainly done that. I went to work for a company called Yoda, and Yoda was in the business of doing web performance optimization. And I was, I remember the first interview. I was sitting on one of the floating docks just in front of on in Darling Harbour in Sydney, Australia, um, right by the kind of zoo, not zoo, but there was like a little nature park inside a building, which was really cool. Uh, I was sitting there. I was talking with the guy who was hiring me, and I uh, yeah, it was amazing. I loved the idea of what was, and this was going to give me the chance to move back from Amsterdam, where I was living, back to the U.S. And they were going to cover my move, and so I had a series of these great conversations, and so I said yes, and in the time between saying yes and like starting to sell my house and starting the move and doing all these steps, in that period of time, that person, who is an amazing individual, still lives in Boston. I think lives in Boston. Still does amazing work as kind of on the marketing side. Still has an amazing Twitter. William Toll, super cool, amazing person, and he leaves the company while I'm about to move back over to the U.S. And they hire this other guy who, oh man, he was bad, and it was just a miserable experience for a year. I'd constantly produce content, and it would never see the light of day, and it was just miserable. And after that, I had to, I guess, a similar experience with a manager at when I was at Microsoft, and at that point, I learned when I interview, I need to interview the manager as well to see if I can work with this person, because it's so easy to get stuck in a bad situation. That was a long, long way to get there. Microsoft gave an overview on prompting. Yeah, Microsoft. They're doing some interesting things. Um, I saw a a stream or a video by somebody saying, "Oh well, Apple has to do a deal with these people because why does Apple not have any AI tools themselves?" And like, are all these people who are saying like Apple doesn't have any AI work going on? They just have their eyes closed. I mean, there's that, was it MLX, MXL, MCL, MCX, that whole framework, which has done amazingly cool things. Oh, Matt's I don't know emoji. What? Um, is it? It's like is that my I don't know what that it is. Um, yeah. I yeah, it's interesting how an experience in somebody's life can change, lose self-esteem, lose confidence. I definitely, there was somebody I had worked with, and I remember the experience being, working with him, positive, and apparently there was other stuff going on in his life at the time, and we bumped into each other online a few a few months ago. I was like, "Oh yeah, you remember when we worked together at this thing?" It's like, I don't want to talk about that time in my life. I don't want to talk. I don't bring it up. And because I had just forwarded him a video where me and him are in this video, and I was like, "No, please take that down. I don't want to talk about it." Um, it's and there's something happened, and just yeah, I mean, I've definitely had miserable experiences I don't want to bring up, but I bring them up. But I'm different. Hello from Idaho. Hello from Idaho. I have loved my um as long as we don't bring up politics. I have loved many of my times in Idaho. I took a fly casting course at a was Orvis in Coeur d'Alene, which was great. And then a year ago, 2 years ago, I rafted down the salmon and snake for about 5 days with Hell's Canyon rafting, which was amazing, and I want to do that again. Idaho, gorgeous, and some not so gorgeous, but generally gorgeous place. I used to go to Boise a lot when I was working at Microsoft. So yeah, it was. I like Idaho. It's pretty close to where I am. You to what now? Oh, you're from Boise. Yeah, yeah. I would go into Boise for because I was at the time working for as a sales engineer for state and local government at Microsoft, and my territory was, along with a sales rep, um, was state of Washington, Alaska, Oregon, and Idaho. Greetings from Paris. I used to love. Well, love is a strong word. I used to drive often from Amsterdam to Paris, and that drive was great. I used to enjoy that drive. Apart from going through what was it, Antwerp, always a lot of backups at Antwerp, and often huge backups getting into and out of Paris. Where would I stay in Paris? There was one hotel I was always staying at. Can't remember where I'd go. Why did I go to Paris a lot? I definitely went to a bunch of WeWorks in Paris. I don't remember why. But a lot of good memories. A lot of good memories. Then also a lot of some bad memories in Paris. I remember I went and um, my flight got. Oh yeah, I was trying to get back to the airport and somebody was on strike. I don't know, a whole bunch of people were on strike, and I couldn't get to the airport. And I finally get to the airport like 40 minutes before my flight, and they say, "Oh, your seat's gone." That was Air France. I love Air France. You're from the Antwerp area. I love the all the like Jenever bars. There was a like a Jenever bar right off the, I think, a Central Square, and strike cheer the national sport. Yeah, I feel like every time I've been in Paris, there's been a strike. Um, as of date, what is your recommendation for the best way to run RAG locally? Yeah, I don't. I know that Misty just added RAG. I think my the reason. So I think my favorite, although I haven't played with it since my video, was um, Open UI, Open Web UI, and it's purely because of the tagging that they do when you ingest a document. And so when you ingest, you can assign different tags, and that I think is the because everything about RAG is pretty easy. There's nothing really hard about this, but you want to be very careful about when you ask a question and start to pull in the data from the vector database. You want to make sure that you're pulling in data from the right subset of documents. It's way too easy to throw all your documents at a RAG system, ask a question, and get garbage answers because not all of it is actually relevant to the context of your question. And having a way of filtering down what you're going to search for is really important. And I saw that in OpenUI. Maybe other things have added since since then, but I wish. So there's this annoying. So on my let me. I gotta show you something. Okay, let's switch to what I am actually looking at. Here's what I look at in YouTube Studio. Now see this over here. There's this little, I don't know, heart thing, emoji thing, and it is whenever somebody writes something, I can't see the end of the line right here, and so I have to like wait for somebody else to say something before before I can actually respond. It's like because somebody said, "Oh yeah, have you done any work with to write all the chat content to?" And I couldn't read SQL, but to a SQL data store. Done any work with getting Ollama to write all chat content to a SQL data store? No, but I mean, I remember that was, um, that's definitely if you're going to be doing any, especially if you're going to be doing something where multiple people are working with Ollama, that was the trick for getting a conversation to be saved with, what was it? Disco Llama? Where's my Disco Llama sticker? With the Disco Llama. Oh, you can't see that. With the Disco Llama. You can't see that either. There we go. There we go. Oh. So there's the Disco Llama. So with Disco Llama, that was the Discord bot that we had in that Ollama had initially, and you could, if as long as you added Disco Llama, um, it would continue your conversation and keep your context. But if somebody else said something to Disco Llama, it would have a different thread, and basically it stored all that stuff in a SQL data store. I think it was Postgres, just because that's what I think Mike Yang really likes is Postgres. I think I haven't done it, but I mean, it's not that hard, I don't think, but I haven't done it. Pop out the chat. Oh yeah. The three ellipses. Boo. That's a whole lot smarter. Thank you. Sometimes not too smart. And I can probably, since I'm using Arc, have, how can I close that? You want to close the chat. Oh, well. Anyway. Highlight video, delay ads. There's all sorts of things in this YouTube studio that I haven't really played with. Anyway, knowledge graphs. No. I mean, I know. I mean, isn't that the whole thing with Neo4j? I think that's the thing with Neo4j. But the downside with Neo4j is you're stuck using Neo4j, and it's just so slow. I remember for the demo for DockerCon, what was the thing? So it was with Neo4j and LangChain and Ollama on stage for the keynote, and they were building out the demo, but nobody had a machine fast enough to be able to run Neo4j. And so we had to bring our... Okay. We had to bring our Mac Studio to be able to run it. Of course, then the demo broke the night before that because Docker released a new version of Docker Desktop. And in the morning before, like in the hour or two before the keynote, Jeff ended up rewriting Docker Desktop because he was the product manager, and really it comes out of Jeff and Michael's work building Kitematic, and that's really still the heart of Docker Desktop. Let's see, what have I missed? Howdy neighbor from your Utah neighbor. A chunk of my family is up there around Idaho Falls. Nice. What are your thoughts about AI safety as a career track? I don't know. You are hated by all your peers, I guess, because everybody wants to have uncensored models. I don't know. Yeah, I like Portainer. In fact, I love using the extension for Portainer in Docker for Desktop. It's a really nice way of working with containers. I remember we had the folks that built Portainer on the podcast. When I used to be the co-host on a podcast called DevOps and Docker Talk with a friend of mine, Brett Fisher. Now it's Normal who is the co-host, but I was the co-host for a while, and we had the guys from Portainer, as we also had what was the other one? Podman. Uh, they had never really convinced either one of us to use Podman versus Docker. Any thoughts about? Um, did we already talk about agents? Any thoughts about the agent video that I put out? Curious. Why input tokens are limited for an open source offline model like Ollama 3, or like Llama 3. Can you expand on that? What's a presentation of? Oh yeah, what's a presentation of demo don't break? Yeah, my one of my best presentations that I didn't actually get. I was backstage for, so I didn't actually get to see the presentation, but I was backstage because I was prepping a demo that was about to be delivered by the person who was on stage. Um, and on stage was God, what's the guy's name? I keep seeing him pop up. Oh my God, I can't remember his name. Well, one guy's name who was a product manager in Windows, and the other guy standing on stage was Bill Gates, and they were demonstrating, I think, Windows XP. And one of the newer features in Windows XP was being able to plug in most cameras, and it was just recognized, and that was unheard of before that day, before Windows XP came out. And in the audience were a lot of educators from around the region. It was kind of a regional mini conference, and I used to do a lot of these because at that time I was in education marketing. I think I might have been a SharePoint PM, and um, and so they plug in the camera, and we were in the Westin, which is the two round towers uh, in Seattle, which is where what was the character Frasier, I think, lives in the TV series Frasier back 20 years ago. And so we're in one of the conference rooms. He plugs in the camera, and within second, well, no, not within seconds, within half second, plug in the camera, and everything starts shaking. This is 2001. 2001. Yeah, I think it was 2001. But it's before 9/11. Um, 'Cause that was also 2001. Yeah, I think it was the um, World Trade Conference, WTC, and then right after that was like within a couple of days was this conference, and it was the Nisqually earthquake, which was a pretty strong earthquake centered in Nisqually, which is um, down near Tacoma, and everything starts shaking. I had moved there from San Francisco pretty recently, so I knew, let me find a door frame. I go into a door frame, and within about I mean it didn't last that long. It couldn't have been more than a minute long that everything was shaking. But I am joined within seconds by Bill Gates. And so here's this. I mean, no matter what your opinion of Microsoft is, this is Bill Gates. He's, at the time, richest man in the world, and leader of this major company. And here I am. I'm looking down at him. He's looking up at me. We're both smiling at each other, and I'm trying to think of something amazing to say. Like I just need to say this one amazing thing, and then I'm going to soar through the ranks, and I am going to be his next assistant. Later on, I got to know one of his former assistants, who's now the chief security officer, I think. Went to his wedding, but I'm gonna soar through it. So as soon as I say something intelligent, I'm like thinking, I gotta think of something. I gotta have some story to say, or something intelligent, and nothing comes up. And all I say is, "Wow." this is cool. And he just smiles up at me and thinks, I'm sure he's thinking, who the hell hired this idiot? So that's my bad conference presentation demo. And my brother-in-law basically said, "Oh, you had the opportunity to take him out and save the world." That's another opinion. Getting crew AI to work and coordinate with anything other than large models is a pain. Yeah. I mean, the thing I don't like about crew and most of the other AutoGen, all these things, is the need to deal with agent and task, and I mean, having to define so much and not really, you have these backstories and goals, and they seem to overlap, um, and when you have these, system prompts and prompts that are overlapping or multiple, saying the same thing or saying different things one after the other, the model gets confused. And that was definitely that was the problem that we had with LangChain early on. They've since fixed this, but early on, they were creating a system prompt and putting it into the prompt in Ollama, which already had a system prompt above. So you'd have a system prompt, then potentially a conflicting system prompt, and then a prompt. Or no, it was like it ended up being system prompt, system prompt. And it was causing all sorts of issues. Nobody wanted to fix anything. It took a while to fix. Let's see. So it sounded like people are up, and Jade, our dog, joined us. But I was thinking, let's see. Desk. One. I was curious about what is it in Ollama AI, GitHub, releases. Okay, so there's a 0.1.40 pre-release. When did this start? This is yesterday, so probably, I guess it'll get released by Tuesday or Wednesday when they figure stuff out. Some new models. I don't love the fact that in the release notes, they list out models that they don't necessarily need 0.1.40 to run. They're just the models that have come out since 0.1.39. Feels weird having that associated with a release. But anyway, 0.1.39 is the latest release. It's actually the the release that's known to work well, although there's always issues that come up. But there's this Ollama Flash attention flag for Ollama Serve, improves token generation speed on Silicon Max and NVIDIA graphics. And I was kind of curious what that's like to use. So I'm going to spin up a terminal, make that bigger. And actually, let's run it in Zellage. I don't run Zellage that often, but it might be useful here. Let's see, pane. Oh, need to do Control P. New. Okay. So now, let's kill Ollama, quit Ollama, and I want Ollama Flash Attention. That's one Ollama Serve. Okay. And then what can I do? Ollama run llama 3. Now, are we going to be able to see a difference? Slash set verbose. Why is the sky blue? Okay, so with that, let's kill that and just do Ollama serve. And do that again. Oops. Oh, sorry. Run. Set verbose. Definitely see. Now, of course, I can't really compare. I would have to do this like 10 times and then average out the eval rate across all 10 times to really get a understanding of, is this any better than it was? But 55 tokens per second versus 53 is definitely better. Somebody said I saw 7% speed increase with Llama. Oh, I should use Llama. Yeah. Let's do this with. So we're on. Let's zoom out a bit so I have a little bit more space and actually full screen this. Okay, so we'll get out of that, and I'll do Ollama. Let's kill that just to make sure. So I've got Ollama serve. And then over here, I'll do Ollama run Llama 3 70B. Why is it experimental? It's just a new flag, and the benefit of releasing these kind of experimental flags is that you can expand the people testing beyond the the 7 people on the team or 8 people on the team, because just because it works on all of their MacBook Pros and a couple of Windows boxes and a couple of Linux boxes doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone. And as soon as they released any, it took a number of releases where AMD was experimental before all the edge cases were figured out. So let's do that same. I should have done. Okay, so why is the sky blue? It's spelled wrong. Let's move this over. Oh, can I just slide this over? No. I need to use Control P. No. Control N minus. There we go. Okay. And so that definitely was the case with, in a couple of versions ago, they released there was an experimental flag for number of prompts that could be processed at the same time, and number of models that could be loaded at the same time. And what's the advice on using that? Well, it's kind of hard to say until everybody in the Ollama team has a MacBook Pro, at least an M1, often M2, M3 with 64 gigs, or with the case of the I think M3 and maybe even 90, 92, 96 gigs. So how does it perform on other kinds of machines? Okay, so that was 7.87 tokens. Okay, so let's kill this. Control C. And we'll go to this one. And buy. And we'll do Llama run 11 Llama 3 70B verbose. Is this Fabric? No, I'm not using Fabric. This is just Ollama. Why is the sky blue spelled correctly? We're just seeing if there's, that does seem, I don't know, seems faster. Oh, let's see if I can do, me in the top. There we go. That is definitely, I mean, it's not a huge difference. That was a similar answer. And I see 7.87 tokens versus 8.12 tokens. Okay, they're pretty close. And eval rate 5.3 tokens versus, okay, it's, I would really have to run this several times, 10 times, 15 times, and do an average and then see, is the average any faster in general, with this new option of, oh, did the option actually take effect? What was the flash attention? Oh, it's okay. Flash attention is true. And then in the previous one, flash attention was false. Okay. So it definitely took effect, but I didn't really see a big difference. I was kind of hoping, oh, there's going to be this major, amazing difference, but maybe I also don't have the right, the right test. I'm not sure what is the right way of testing to see if this is better for anything. Neutrality and mutualism. What with AI and robots? How did you experience that speed up? How did the speed up manifest itself? Is that the right term? What's the right test to see if this is doing what we think it should be? 37%. Of course, I am on battery. I wonder if that could be it. So I can't really use the whole. Let's try this again with power. Okay. So now I'm going to kill this and run serve. So this is running. Jade, you okay? Don't throw up on my rug. Hey. You okay? Sound like you're gonna throw up. Okay, so that is flash attention is false. I'm looking right here. This thing right here says flash attention false. And so if I get out of here and I'll do Ollama run. By the way, this what I'm using here. So I'm using Zellige, which Zellige is this really nice kind of like Tmux, but with defaults and keyboard shortcuts that seem to make a little bit more sense, plus the little bar at the bottom to guide me through using it. And then I'm using this Tuin, a town. Having lived in the Netherlands for a bunch of years, I would have said a town or something like that, but I don't know what. I don't know. Anyway, so it's just a nice. Instead of doing like Control P to look to search through your history, this is a nice way of filtering down. So I can type in verbose, and it's all the instances of me running something with verbose, and I can up. And I guess I could use the numbers to say run the 9th one back. I don't know how to do that, but Control O inspect. What's that? Control O. Oh no, that's Zellige is taking over Control O, so I don't know what that does. Anyway, so I want to do 70B verbose. Now that Llama CPP is out via Brew, do we need Ollama? If you think running Llama CPP is easy, sure. But for the rest of us, no. I mean, for the rest of us, yeah, we need Ollama. Oh. Hi. Hi. Yeah, I can stop. I was just waiting for people to wake up. No. I'll come up. Everyone's up waiting. Okay, I'll make crepes. Okay, seems like people are waiting for me to make crepes. Okay, so that was 8 tokens. Let's try that again. Oh, wait, no. That was not. I haven't run it. Okay, so this is with flash attention false. Yeah, crepes are definitely important. We my sister got us a crepe maker, mostly for she had this amazing recipe for the bread that you get at Ethiopian restaurants, because she used to go to Ethiopia a lot as well, and she loved the food, and so she got us this crepe maker because it's apparently really easy to make. A Juno or a I don't even know what the stuff is called. And we never did that. We never used that recipe, but we make crepes all the time, every Saturday. Okay, so that's 7.89. We'll see if we see any miraculous change here. And we'll exit out of here and we'll run the same thing. Why is the sky blue? Mark Wilson. Is it worth comparing agents to AI for inference in workflows? Comparing agents to AI for inference in workflows. Agents by frameworks being useful was yeah. So, what blew my mind was the calling of GPT as a workflow step from Make, Zapier, NAN, etc. Yeah, I played around with making a extension for NAN for Ollama way back at the beginning. I never went anywhere because creating the plugins for them is really hard. But I think it's there's so many other tools. There's Rivet as well, which is really nice for making calls to these different things. Uh, I Jade, you okay? Don't throw up. You need to go out here. Throwing up on the garage floor is better. Sounds my dog is. That doesn't sound good. Okay, so 8 tokens per second versus. Yeah, I mean, I saw the same thing. So I'm seeing the same thing a few times where I'm getting more tokens per second. 5.13 versus 5.13. Same tokens for the eval rate, but a tinge faster repetitively on the eval rate. So a little bit better with this flash attention. So that's interesting. I mean, so back to the Llama CPP via Brew. If you think that, I mean, I think the big things with Ollama are the space savings and just more how it's more efficient about models using the kind of the Docker layers thing. That's pretty magical. And just the ease of publishing, pulling and pushing models to Ollama and from Ollama, and just how much faster that is. I mean, assuming you have a decent bandwidth, it is night and day difference pulling from Hugging Face or anywhere else. It's just so much faster. In fact, it could, if you had a 10 gigabit connection, the bottleneck is the speed of your SSD and not the connection. Whereas downloading from Hugging Face is always, I mean, you rarely even saturate a 1 gigabit connection. Of course, you have to have a fast connection. I don't have that connection, but we did in the office in Palo Alto. So I think those are some pretty big advantages that you don't get with just running it via Llama CPP. It's just, I think even, okay, I haven't looked at what you're getting with Llama CPP via Brew, but I have a hard time believing it can be as easy as Ollama. And then you're kind of, I think Ollama is very careful about not rolling out all the features that Llama CPP has, because a lot of them just break stuff, and so they've been careful not to just release everything. Well, as I said, I've got a crepe maker, a date with a crepe maker in just a few minutes, so I think I should be closing this out. And there's another, change the game from old. Yeah, combining other tools with a model is amazing. I mean, seeing that video by the Coding with Brandon, I think that's who it was amazing. Seeing, first off, I didn't know how easy it was. I mean, in his example, he writes the code to pull from YouTube, and I don't know why I never even tried the YouTube API, but it turns out, my code just really cribs his code. His was in Python, and I just wrote it almost the exact same thing in TypeScript. So being able to create the tools that pull from YouTube, which is what he did, and then having the model act on that information and use that to generate titles and a description was magical. I just hated having to define the agents and the tasks the way that you have to do with Crew or AutoGen or all the others. And so that's why I created the video. And then doing it from, as a workflow step from now of course you have to make sure that Ollama is accessible from outside, uh, and that's sometimes problematic. Yeah, sure, using some online service is an option, but then there's all the privacy and security issues that mean a huge number of people just can't use it. Either it's a firing offense to use ChatGPT, or there's a firing offense to use anything online that they don't control. So that's often a reason to use Ollama. AutoGrok solves that. I haven't looked at AutoGrok. A lot of people often will say, "Oh, well, this solves that problem." I can't code, but I know anytime somebody says, somebody who, if you don't know how to code, don't believe others who I mean, just look at any of the Google announcements. They'll say, "Oh, this is the best model ever," and then when people actually start playing with it, they say, "Oh well, it's actually garbage." Huggin. Oh yeah, I haven't played with Huggin in a while. I've run N8N locally. There's it's a Docker container you can run locally, and it's really pretty easy to run in Docker. But anyway, I gotta go make crepes because my daughter and my wife are like, where's our crepes? So I gotta go. Thanks so much for this. It's an hour and 2 minutes, which is awesome. Thanks. Go watch that video if you haven't, about agents, because that was fun to make. Thank you. Let the LLM code for me. Yeah. The LLM. I mean, I often think, oh well, let me use ChatGPT to generate this code, and it generates stuff that just doesn't work, and you go back and forth, trying to create something that does work. And I mean, you're going to do the same thing with Ollama and any of the models. So you still need to know what you're doing to be able to debug the garbage code that all of these things generate. They make you a little bit faster, but they don't do it for you. Your repo forked. Yep. Cool. All right. Well, thanks so much. Bye-bye. What else do I need to do? Yeah, drink some water. That always happens at the end. I guess I need to sit here for 20 seconds, just staring blankly at the camera. Don't talk. No, I can't do that. All right, bye.